Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. As I said last week, I am not in my usual setup. As you can see, I am at a setup, and if you don't follow me on socials, you really should, because this has been the topic of the entire week, and I've said it so many times that it'd be easier if you just follow me on Twitter, Bluesky. Also, even if you're in my Discord, I don't really, you know what though, I don't advertise my Discord on YouTube at all, and I really should. It's really just because I'm not good at using Discord and has nothing to do with anything else. Literally, it's very overwhelming. There's channels for everything. There's a phrase, I forget how it goes. It's like Discord replaced like forums, Wikipedias, and like voice something. I don't know. I don't remember the phrase. It was like, but it does all of them worse. Like I hate that everyone uses it for that. So I tend to be not paying that much attention to it, or not as much as I should. But I really should just advertise that on my videos more. And I am actually going to be doing stuff like that in videos. Steel Series has been sending me a ton of free stuff through all the stuff that I was telling you about. That's been, in my YouTube feed in recent weeks. And I haven't made any content for them. So I'm actually going to make an effort to do like some sort of integrations for them on the regular. Not like the Magic Spoon ones where it's like the hard cutaway and it's like a completely like different thing. It more like a smooth, like somehow include it in the video, or even just like take a small break to just say, hey, this is a small break from the video, letting you know about this, and that's it. I owe them. They've treated me really well over the years. They sent me a ton of free stuff. They've got their new earbuds. They've got the new mouse pads. They've got all sorts of stuff, and I haven't done it. So yeah, that's going to be how this video starts because I don't think there's that many questions. I'm doing a full one take for this entire Q&A because I don't have editing software to work it in. So literally, like the questions aren't going to be on the stream. I'm just going to be scrolling through, acknowledging comments, talking about things, and then answering questions. And the next week, we'll go back to the usual format. Now, before we get started, I usually thank sponsors. Steel Series, one of them. There's always the link with the 12% discount code in the description of almost all of my videos. Patreon, which I don't make any Patreon exclusive content. I don't really like money gating content. It's just fundamentally, I don't think the content I make warrants it, if that makes sense. Like, I'd have to go out of my way to make something that is exclusive. Same with memberships on YouTube. Like, why would I wait an extra day to release something just to charge people $5 for it? I don't know. For me, I just don't think for my content it works. I think it works for others. I just don't think it works for me. But thank you to the sponsors on Patreon for supporting. It's always a nice little help. And obviously, with everything that's been going on the last couple of weeks, there have been quite a few super chats, which interestingly enough, I don't see them all listed. Oh, yeah, there's super chats and there's super thanks, right? And I think I need to separate them. Yeah, because it's not showing me all of them. I know under the big announcement video that I had with everything that was going on with me, that there were a bunch, and I really wanted to include them all, but I actually don't see all of them. My super chat and super stick. Oh, that's because it's not showing me the super thanks. That's so strange. I feel like I need to go directly to the specific video. So I actually am going to do that. I'm going to quickly go to the video, the life update video here, and see if it'll at least, excuse me, list them out somewhere. Like maybe if I just scroll through, maybe there's a way for me to scroll through and just like see sort by. Okay, well that's just a sort by. So I just want to shout those out because a lot of people gave that. Just to be clear, that wasn't the point of the video. I don't want to do any more fundraisers. I don't want to need to raise money for anything. I do plan on doing giveaways and making sure that there's something reward wise for people. I'm basically I was announcing I was going to hold an event and that I wanted to do the thing that I wanted to do. And a lot of people have had a lot to say. I'm sure there's a lot of that under this week's Q&A as well. But we had like Retro Elf with $9.99. You're a good guy. Take care of yourself. $10 from Atomic. Don't give your stuff away. Trust me, I want to get rid of it anyway. I've been talking about getting rid of it for 6 months because of the situation. It clearly isn't important enough to me, and it would be better for me to be able to give something to people because I mean, no matter what anyone says about the situation that I'm in with my mother, you're never gonna just convince me to not do something for other people. And I mean, maybe that's what got me in that situation in the first place. But yeah, no, it's something I wanted to do anyway, because a lot of those things just don't mean anything to me. A $25 from Polamau said, "Thanks for being honest with us about it all." Yeah, I mean, it's owed, because I don't want there to be, like, I don't want it to come out that all of a sudden that happened, because people easily find that stuff out, and it's owed to people. Like, it's not even just a matter of taking responsibility. It's straight up owed, because other people are the ones who contributed and I facilitated. So that's how I feel about that situation. We had $100 from Cat Card just saying, "I don't want my money back. I don't speak for anyone else, but it's not your fault." You know, I've gotten that a lot. I've had a single person who said they wanted it back. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and pay it forward seems to be the number one thing. There's $50 from 25XX Frost. I was glad to donate. This isn't on you. Yeah, another comment. Thank you to them. It's hard for me to read out all of them, because I do want to get to the actual questions in terms of like read out the entire text. So I just want to give you the vibe that I'm getting from any individual. $20 from Drac Oven. A lot of respect for someone that can do what you just did. I'm sorry to hear things have gone down like they have for you. I don't want to see you giving away or selling things to pay debt. Think of it less to pay debt, more so to not have debt, if that makes sense. Because the big thing was that I was always basically playing from behind during that entire situation. And it's like I was always doing okay, making good money. I mean, YouTube is effectively my means of, I make content and YouTube pays me on advertisements. Like, yes, people can do things like give tips or memberships or whatever. Like, those options are always there. But with the YouTube and Twitch combination, just on advertisements alone, you know, I do okay. And then there are subscriptions, and I have sponsors, and I have affiliate links and whatnot. So it's like, it's not like it was ever to pay debt. It was to just, I just don't want to have any. I just don't want to like develop it because of the situation. And that to me is more important than, I just don't, material objects don't matter that much to me. Like, whatever I need to function matters more. The experiences I have are far more experiential. So like, it's not like those things have sentimental value for me. And if I can give them to somebody else who really enjoys those things for what they are, that's something that they would otherwise have a really hard time getting or may never get, I can give that experience to somebody else. And it can be something that's mutually beneficial given the situation. There was $9.99 from Voisin. Been watching you since I was in high school. Oh man, I mean, I was in high school only a few years before I started doing this, so I guess I can't say. Praying the situation was resolved soon. Me too. And I will hopefully have an update about that soon, with more information, because I think a lot of people want to know everything. I need to also fully go through the document. I think I hear. Oh no, never mind. And then there was $10 from Book Fiend. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please take care of yourself. I am, and I will be. $20. So sorry you're going through this from Michi Otaku. It's absolutely not your fault. Yeah, I've gotten that a lot. You know, it's hard not to feel that way, but right here. Oh yeah. Hey, there's another. Hey, Bacon. Hey, stop. Don't make me interrupt my recording. Different location, same problem. Cats always getting in the way. That's fine. $5 can't spare much. The can't spare much is why. $5 from Voritin, by the way. That was why I wanted to do the give back to begin with, because most people who give to things like that, they're not people with tons of disposable income. They're people with, you know, they're people who are struggling too, which is why it's not lost on me, everything that went down. 17.99 euros, I believe that is, from Serioc. Feels so bad for you. Listen, don't feel bad for me. I mean, think of it this way. My living situation was good enough to at least the capacity that I could do all of that I was doing, and I could still have, at the very least, like a comfortable existence. Like, not as comfortable as I would have liked it to be. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of extra work hours and stuff. But I had the support of people just through stream, just not family. Hey, stop. Hey, come here. Come here. Look. See that? I just want this cat that's playing with like plastic. Bacon. Hey. Come on. Don't make me come over there in the middle of the recording. I had $25 from Brendan Nordis. Shit happens. You're telling me. Most of us would rather be happy to see you have your money back. No, I'm happy. Oh my goodness. I'm stopping this mid-recording. Hey, no, you can't have that. Stop it. Stop it right now. There you go. Oh my god, it's covered in cat slobber. All right. Listen, it's okay. We're good. I mean, yeah, but the conscious is a thing. I'll put it that way. So thank you. $15 from I can't pronounce it. I think it's Shijijik. That's 15 euros. Thanks, Abs, for all the years you've helped me with your 14 guides. Back in the days, you were one of the few who showed us how to master the Bible. I wouldn't say master. I mean, there's still always the Ifrit and Garuda guides. Those are still always there. Greetings from Germany. And from Asura Trader, $10. We all donate without conditions or requirements. See, that doesn't matter to me because it still doesn't change the events, I suppose, is the way it is. I mean, still, I obviously, the good sentiment isn't lost on me. It's just the thought does not leave me either. Speaks volumes that you even put this out. $4.99 from NK Vale. Sorry you went through this, and the other comment said you were screwed over way more than anyone else. Yeah, but facilitating a screwing over does not... I don't know. I think I've made my point enough in that regard that, like, it doesn't change the way I feel about that, you know. $5 from Inari-kun. Good luck with everything. Given so much to the community. I just make videos online. I never like to play up what I do. I'm not changing lives like in super significant ways. I'm changing a day-to-day experience for some people. Consider me. I'm a very I don't like to think I'm more than I am. I guess that's all there is. But thank you. 179 Teach B. Oh, hey, what's going on, Grail? Sorry to hear you have to go through all these rough situations. It's not an easy issue to deal with. Hope things will be sorted out smoothly soon. Thank you. $20 from Lacona. Hey, man, you all right? Honesty is the best currency. Yeah, I try to just keep things real. It's just easier that way. Yeah, so I feel that, and especially with something like that, because like I said, it's completely owed. $2 from Taekwon. Don't have much to spare, but you don't need to feel the way you do. You also don't need to give me $2 if you don't have a lot to spare. Treat yourself. Take care of yourself. You can't. You always got to take care of number one, and that allows you to take care of the people around you. So don't forget to do that. $15 in lieu of advice. Help with super thanks. Helps. Thank you, Mimic you for the 15. Art Bear, consider this a gift for all the guides that helped my friends and I. Much love to you. Thank you, Art Bear, for the $15. Fostings. Man, I hate you had to put your life on hold for someone you love. You're telling me that's $20 from Fostings. Hope we can get some resolution. I hope so too, and I definitely will share. I guess if there is another development, if the development is it's over, then there's no point in saying anything else. But if there is something more to share, would like to, because again, that clarity is good. I mean, it would be good for me because I don't fully understand it either. Like, I only have that one document to go off of. $5 Canadian from Rory Connor. I was a non-5, and here's another. At the non-5, I read that. I was like, who is a non-5? No, I get it. Speaking as a person with family members who put me in a similar position, you were honest and open with what you had. You're transparent even now. I don't think you're to blame. I get it. No, I get it. Listen, I've already said my thank you for the $5. $20 from Panixon. You're not at fault. You tried doing a respectful thing. I respect that. Thank you, Panizon, for the 20. CMJ $9.99. You helped me solo O12S and got me into Palace of the Dead. It's only right. Oh, thanks, CMJ. Jack Melton with 15 euros. Or I think that's pound, actually. Good luck, man. You make the most amazing content. I make content. I don't know if it's amazing, but thank you. Fatebound with 9.99 pounds, I think. You seem like a good dude. Nobody should despair for trying to help someone. Despair is just, it's I just have to go forward. That's really all that happens. All right, because I want to actually get to the Q&A, and we're already 13 minutes in. Most of the comments are the same, so I'm going to thank the remaining super thanks, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Since this is a one take, I definitely want to make sure that we do it in a somewhat timely fashion. This is $6.99 Canadian from Altamilia. Thank you. Again, another very kind comment from them. 10 Canadian from John. Didn't donate because didn't know about it, but if I had, I wouldn't take the money back anyway. Thank you, John. The $10 from Onichan Kenobi. Oh, and I said that out loud. Hearing this, appreciate all the positive and forward thinking. Thank you for the kind words, and of course for the $10. There wasn't the point for anyone to super. I didn't even think about that. I turned off monetization on that video, and then I saw super thanks coming, and I was like, well, I can turn that off. So Medivh, thank you for the 5. Enjoy my weekly interactive content. As interactive as it is to record a video, but I'm always downplaying. $5 from Red Wrath. Thank you. And then I think that there's 50 euros from gamers. 5 push-ups and we're even. You know what? It's a one take. I can do that. Can you even see? I don't know if you can even see. I guess it's implied here. You can, right? It's implied. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's implied, right? Like you can't see the form is good or not, but you know, you'll trust that I did the form well enough. You know, I made it happen. That's good. That might be nope. Here's another one. They're not as like grouped up now. $4.99 from Tetraspell. Thank you. You owe yourself forgiveness. No, I'm always about other people first. True story. When I started doing streaming, the idea was to make just enough to live and to do charity year round. So a false life. You need money to live, and because of the situation, I've barely been able to do charity. I have charities reaching out to me, and I'm like, can't do it, can't afford to do it. That's been me for years. A lot of charities have come to me, and I've only been able to do a few throughout the past years, which is never fortunate. $25 from PokeFan at 5 ever. I hope ZA is good, man. I'm gonna probably maybe finish my shiny decks in Arceus before then. All right, let's see. And nope, here's another one. I was about to say we're done. G Taicho, thank you for the $10. So thank you. Oh, $10? Yes, $10. I didn't even check the currency. I just saw the 10. $5 from Visuals. Love you, bro. Thank you. $25 from Hazukiru. Thank you for that. So there were so many. I've already read through most of these. Like, I sat there literally like not working and just reading through comments for an entire afternoon and evening. Although I'm sure there are plenty of these I didn't see. 50 DKK. I'm not sure which currency that is. But thank you, Barbara Kovacs. Take care of yourself. I will do my best. I'm taking care of myself this last week where I've been away has been good. I canceled my PAX East trip, but I kept this one. So this one was more important anyway. Thank you for the 25, DJ Azure Sky. Don't give your stuff away. Listen, I'm going to give it away. It's not going to stop me from giving it away, I don't think. And nope, here's another one. $25 from FF Freak. $25 from Milorable. I like how it's just the word thanks because it's a super thanks. Those are the defaults. I think it default puts the word thanks if you don't type anything. I've never sent a super thanks, I don't think. €5 from Neon Smile. So many. I wish it would just group all of them together because, obviously, like I said, I want to get to the Q&A. I think that was the last one because now it's like just. Oh, no. Here's $4.99 from Henry. $5 from 40 uphill both ways. $49.99 from Genova, repeating what's already been said. Yeah, I know. You all keep trying to me. Listen, I believe in karmic justice, and I will always want to put good karma out into the world as often as I can. I mean, like, let's be honest, none of us are always putting positive karma out there. That would probably be more stressful than not doing it. But as some of you have even seen in my own Q&As, like you'll see sometimes I get a question and I'm just like, my composure is lost. Not like in the worst of ways, but it's lost. Okay, I think that was the actual last question. So now I'm going to go into the actual Q&A, which I scrolled through without reading and just to look to see how many hashtags there were. And I saw more comments than I saw questions. There was a €10 super thanks from Lana Tira, a smile better suits a hero. There was also a big hashtag from Subdued Radical, who made a big, long comment to talk about everything as well. But doesn't have a question, but it is a lot of very kind things to say, which was, the last week's Q&A was full of a lot of that. And my hair is amazing. I know, right? This is also because of where I am. You can actually see it kind of like in its entire element right now. So thank you. Let's see. Hashtag Mr. Monday with happy yawn. Hope you're having a fun time in your travels. Hello. A few extra hellos in case anyone forgets. Yeah, we've had a few of those as of late, so we'll see. Doing some research, wanted your opinion on the timing of patch cycles. Everything runs the 19-20 week, means 7.3 would come out August 5th and 7.4 would be December 16th. So you are completely correct. I've already had this discussion with other people, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have asked it. I'm saying that this is already like something that's fresh on my mind. And they seem to imply that there would only be 2 major patches in 2025. So that would be 7.2 and 7.3. But pattern would dictate that there's 3. And I think that's because when Fru and Chaotic both came out on 2 separate holidays, basically a month apart, it was a massive, I'll say, backlash from people that it was even remotely happening. A lot of people did whatever they could to try to make the timing work for themselves, but it was really uncomfortable for a lot of people. I think that's actually going to be a 21 or 22 week patch cycle, and that they're deliberately going to hold 7.4 until after the new year. Now, let me see what your question would actually be. 7.5 around April 28th, considering Yoshi P has stated they would like to have 8.0 released in winter. Would it be a stretch to think that 7.5 in April would be part 1 and part 2 around July? No, yeah. You've got literally, if you're taking this 19-20 week thing from me, you've got it down. I will say, to adjust the 7.5 prediction ahead, minimum, I would say 3 weeks, only because I think they are going to hold 7.4 until after the new year. Now, I do think that between 7.3 and 7.4, they will do a return campaign, or, if we're lucky, the Monster Hunter Wilds collaboration. There's been no confirmed Monster Hunter Wilds collaboration, but I think everyone in the 14 community fully expects a Monster Hunter Wilds. Like the Yoshi P's been talking about doing another one for years. That's been requested for years. It was one of the most highly rated and one of the best in terms of long-term investment for the game, one of the best collaborations we've ever had. And I'm not wild about collaborations, so I don't say that lightly. So I would just adjust for that. And yes, I do think that the winter release. Now, keep in mind, winter does not mean December. They could do a January release for the same reason, where they want people to be able to do the holidays for themselves. Now, that being said, we have had a December release before for the expansion, and as long as Savage doesn't come out close to a holiday, like as long as Savage comes out after the new year, they might be okay with doing that. Something very similar to what they did with Endwalker. So that's where my predictions would lie, and that's the only way I would potentially adjust it. Again, we still could get the December 16th, don't get me wrong. But keep in mind that if there is an Ultimate in 7.3 and that's not confirmed, that would put Ultimate on Christmas week. And that's probably not a great idea either. So yeah, that's a rough spot, that particular patch cycle right there. That part of the patch cycle. We had a hashtag Mondays with Mrhappy. Good day to you. First, I'd like to just thank you for regularly offering grounded and mature takes on the state of the game and not descending into rage bait content like other creators. Sometimes I can get into rage bait, but it has to be something I already feel pretty passionately about. And it's, we'll see. With that said, you and I both know there are things that the game needs to improve. Been sitting on its laurels for a long, it's become complacent. I think it's been sitting on certain laurels. I think other parts it either fell into and is digging out now. I think the actual content design is the big one that's largely being pulled out now. Whereas I think things like the friends list, the housing, the limited housing situation, those are things that they've allowed themselves to sit on for a long time. Seeing as you're more experienced than MMOs, I'm wondering if you can name at least 3 things you've seen in other games that would help improve 14. Apart from Mythic Plus, I actually don't think Mythic Plus is even a good idea in 14. 14 is not built with the idea of a scaling content in mind. I think you'd be better off. Okay, so this isn't the answer to the question, but I think the medium ground for Mythic Plus style content, I think they need to abandon creating brand new dungeons for Criterion. Now, obviously, they don't create them for Criterion. They create the variant and then make the Criterion separately. They reuse some of the assets, but they also don't reuse. Like, they also make entirely new paths for Criterion as well. It's not entirely just going through the variant in a very specific way. I think it would be better if, very similar to Unreal, we get a Criterion dungeon every patch, but it's based on the existing dungeons, and it offers a tougher challenge for said dungeon than we've ever had before. So same deal, make the trash way more difficult. Maybe even just make it the entire dungeon that's more difficult instead of it being like one trash pull boss, boss, the way that the regular Criterion works. Reuse the assets, take us back to some older stuff that'll give us kind of that hard mode vibe that we used to get from revisiting dungeons, and give that a boosted up reward structure. Release it maybe slightly delayed from the patch itself, especially on Savage patches. So, if you're going to do it, but do it every patch. You could also maybe incorporate it not into the Fox Leaves, but give it another currency that's similar on top of rewards. So there's a handful of reward options, I guess. I'm saying not to just pick one specific one, but there are a few. and offer that instead of Mythic Plus, because I just don't think Mythic Plus is going to work in Final Fantasy 14. I really don't. And glamour system improvement. So the friends list is a big one. The friends list is jank. And I'd say, I guess instead of friends list, the answer would be the social features as a whole. They've added a whole bunch, and it feels like they've just added on to a social structure in a game that already is kind of unfavored. I mean, yes, we're in the era of Discord, so you could argue that, but I don't think that's a good enough reason to take my friends list to load forever to do anything, to load all 200 people 10 people chunks and do that. We also saw the issues with the blacklist itself, and I feel like if they started over from scratch, they could probably come up with a better overall solution that works for preventing the blacklist ID problem, as well as the fixing up the friends list and the other social features to give them a better look, give them a better feel. Another thing is gear. Now, not gear acquisition like I usually talk about, but the interesting stuff on gear. I think they should be willing to, at the very least, in side content, experiment more with gear that has unique effects. I think that having unique effects on gear is something that is okay in all content, but I think there's also the problem of stuff that we already have, like a clear abyss. Like anyone looks at it and goes like, okay, crit determination. Having the extra effects kind of just it kind of narrows it down even further. So I don't think it actually offers us more gearing options. It creates more gearing chokeholds, I suppose, where you kind of have to go about doing this, and if you just don't get this one particular thing, it's really bad. And then I think that also works better if you don't have the coffer style system that we have, because it takes away the excitement of just kind of knowing you're going to grab the piece that has this effect. I don't know. I just don't think it makes gearing any more interesting, and I don't think it makes the playing any more interesting to have special effects like, you know, procking haste or whatever. I just look at the WoW trinkets. Like, unless you're going to do like really transformative things that actually like are distinguishable, I don't think it really adds much. And even then, I'd say that it creates a tougher balance issue than it otherwise fixes. Another thing I think that they could do is offer more visual appearances on actual skills. I think that we have the systems in place well enough that they can, for example, let's say I want to use wide volley instead of shadow bite. Visually, it'd be really nice as a player to be able to go back and do that. So offering more ways to visually distinguish yourself from other players while you're fighting in a way that doesn't impact gameplay. We've seen that in a lot of other games, whether it comes from items or it comes from specific things you unlock. That goes a long way. Now, obviously, I was avoiding, they said don't include Mythic Plus like content or glamour system improvements. So I went with visuals on particular skills, I suppose. Things like green fellfire for Warlock, I suppose, if you've played World of Warcraft. You know, the color changes on stuff. I think that offers a really, really solid customization. But those are three things. I think I named three things there. So we can move on to the next one. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Traveler. Hi, and possibly welcome back. No, I'm going to be coming back on the Monday, so I'm recording this now. I mean, Black Mage was open to the changes so far. I think they were pretty reasonable, though I do still miss the Aspect Mastery timer. Let's see. Did Ivy travel with you? No, so because I'm not a Black Mage main, I don't really know how to add. Yeah, because I had a feeling that this was going to come down to a what do you think? And what do you think's are tough when I haven't played it myself in its current form? Because I'm just taking everyone else's word for how it feels without having formed my own opinion. So I just tend to avoid them because the idea is that, you know, what's actually happening? Like, you know, because what do you think if they remade the timer but for Enochian, like bringing back the Enochian timer, and this, when you have Enochian, it doesn't enable or disable anything. It just gives you more damage if you manage to maintain it. I mean, here's the thing. I think at that point you just go right back to Aspect Mastery timer. I think you're achieving basically almost identically the same thing. That can basically, I mean, you fix that with a Blizzard 3 cast. Like, that's effectively what, when you drop, you're fixing that with a Blizzard 3 cast. And that's kind of the end of it. You know, so if you're going to, I think that at this point, they're so gameplay wise oriented. If you're going to bring back the Enochian timer, you might as well bring back the Aspect Mastery timer. So I can't say that I fully agree with that. And keep in mind, I would be okay if they did that. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't do it your way or, you know, even the way I'm saying, I'm just saying that they might as well just bring back the aspect mastery timer if they're going to redo or undo anything, and then just put it all on the same timer. I think, honestly, if they just kept the Thunder timer and the Fire Starter timers away, that probably would have been sufficient for most, like, career Black Mages. But for non-career Black Mages, this obviously works better. Or we're seeing a much bigger uptick in Black Mage players after the fact. So, it is what it is. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Congrats on the Savage clear. This week was my first week 1 Savage go. Ooh, grats. I had a question that's probably better left to your support members. I was hoping their thoughts on damage profile of the Ray. Tracking tremors hurts, and so do those long stretches of autos in phase 2. Week 1 was so awesome. Yeah, the thing is that the general consensus was just that there was a good amount of healing organization needed based on, like, positioning of the arena and the distance from the tanks and the healers on certain mechanics. The general consensus on the supports was this was far more interesting than most of the stuff we've had in recent years, and that it's good that that stuff was in there. Now, I'm not going to give their exact thoughts or exact words because I'm not going to talk for them, but that was the general consensus. Is all of our support said they had a really good time with it, and they struggle is not the right word. They couldn't just sleep through it and, like, broil and stuff, which is kind of where it all went down. All of the MIT was pretty meaningful, especially in week 1 this tier. So yeah, there was a general consensus of that was really well done. And so I'm just going to pass that general idea along from the discussion that we had as a group after everything was done. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. First of all, congrats on the clear. Thank you. The last moment in the M8 clear had me silently screaming during a boring meeting. Thank you. A quick question. I'm going to approach this tier using PF. I wanted to get your recommendation for a healer and a caster. I know the best class is always the one you're most comfortable with, but in your own and biased, if you want opinion, what would you choose? So for healer, every expansion, my choice is Scholar. I don't think even when Scholar has been at its absolute worst, Scholar is Scholar. And it has been a monster, and it is a monster right now. And while there's some awkwardness with using Chain during the ad phase in M6, who cares? It's Chain. Like, everyone's going to have enough gear to bypass that phase with relative ease within another week or two anyway. In fact, even this week, it's a great deal easier. So, yeah, Scholar, always. Every expansion, that's my answer. For Caster, it's actually a little tougher. I actually think that if you're only considering the M6 ad phase, I mean, Black Mage and Picto both. I mean, Picto's great in that ad phase. People talk about Picto's nerfs and how it really hurt it, but Picto in that ad phase is really nice. I think with Cleave Maxing, Picto's in kind of a weird spot for where it needs to stand. But I mean, Black Mage right now is doing really well. It just got a lot easier to play. Red Mage, honestly, a pretty good choice. Raises are actually incredibly valuable. So that's actually a pretty decent contender. And if you're really good at it, the damage is not bad. It's not quite melee damage. Like a monk is going to do several thousand more DPS than a red mage. But especially now a few weeks in, that may not matter as much. Just being able to help recover in any scenario when it's still clearable with recovery, even in the PF, again, that'll still get easier over time, might be really valuable, I think. I actually think now that we're a couple weeks in, my answer would be Red Mage on strictly the notion that you're doing this in the PF and that you are probably more valuable on that role than you are on Black Mage or Pictomancer, because you can't just look at the ad phase. You have to look at the general cadence of how people play and how often mistakes are made across the entirety of the 4 fights. And Red Mage can save a lot of scenarios if you play it well. It also can't save some, to be fair. And honestly, playing Black Mage and pumping out several thousand more DPS is very valuable too, because if you're in a group that's mostly clean with a few mistakes, you want to be one of the people playing clean and doing a ton of damage, because it'll mean you don't hit in rage. I would say to keep 2 casters on deck. Black and Red Mage, probably the answers, but if you want like an in-between, or if you just don't want to play Black Mage, Picto still does okay, at the very least. In the ad phase in particular in M6, you'll notice Picto doing well. But in my opinion, outside of M6, if you were considering playing Picto, but you were okay playing Red Mage, then Red Mage would probably be my choice personally. Then hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hope things have taken a better turn. Yeah, this week was better. This week was definitely a week that I needed as well. This might be a bit longer. Not really. Let's see. I want to get your opinion on something in M7S. So in Guild Wars 2, there's a fight. The challenge mode only gives the boss more health and just one more mechanic. Everything else is exactly the same as normal. I have, you know, it's funny. I have a lot of people who play Guild Wars 2 in my community, and I've seen a lot. I've never heard of this before. Actually, someone's probably mentioned it. That's not true. I just probably forgot. Everything else is exactly the same. The additional mechanic is that a guy will randomly run around, and if he touches you, he picks you up, and you can't do anything. Your team has to do enough CC damage, like stun and fear, to have him drop you. So it's just so it is not hard to understand and does not necessarily wipe right away, but not paying attention can definitely enrage. What do you think about this kind of design? That seems like a really lame thing. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you said one additional mechanic, first of all, I think quote one additional mechanic and just more health alone is not enough. I think there needs to be the big difference between normal and savage, even with M7, where the fight is very similar, is the amount of imminent threat you are under for not respecting the fight. You can't just run through it like you do normal mode and maybe like adapt or recover, get hit and fix it. You can't do that. You have the level of precision goes up a lot as well. If it's just a dude that needs to be CC'd if he touches me and the boss takes longer to kill, like I already don't really care much for the way Criterion just adds health and then makes the trash one-shot you if you screwed up, and then death is permanent. Like I don't even think that design works well, and the Criterion Savage design is closer to what you're describing from the challenge mode than it is to going from normal to savage. And I think that's lazy and uninteresting. And I would much rather that Criterion Savage actually be a difficulty bump and include the super boss, the secret boss that you get from doing the 12th secret path. I would way rather have that. So, yeah, for me, I don't think that's interesting at all. Like if I was a Guild Wars 2 player and then they told me, hey, this is what we're doing, I'd be like, why? You know? So, no, I don't think that's efficient. I think you have to consider the amount of imminent threat the party is under, even when the mechanics are not drastically different. And it's a lot higher in Savage, obviously. Like, look at the entire first platform. The whole, like, one of the four people gets the baits under them, and the four nearest and the four farthest are split with two different responsibilities, but you don't know which one. And then all 8 people need to be able to get into light parties and then get away from the expanded seeds after they come out, followed into cleaving the ads and making sure you get decent enough interrupts on them to line of sight. Like, it's all very much normal mode adjacent, but in a way stricter, in a way more skill intensive manner. It's just that you can clearly identify that it is a mechanic that is very similar to its normal mode counterpart. So I think that's a very crucial difference between something like M7 and what you're describing. Hey, Mr. Happy, hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hi, hello, hey, and howdy, because I feel like there's going to be some missing. There haven't been today. Last week we had to talk about both Summoner and Black Mage. Wondering, what do you think the purpose of Caster as a whole is? I think it's job fantasy. I genuinely don't think that the role we're in anymore really should matter, and that job fantasy should entirely be up to things. I think they only use keep in mind they don't call it caster, they call it magical ranged in the game. We call it caster, which is ironic given that samurai would technically be a caster at this point and has been for years. So I think that's the important distinction to make. It is very specifically that your primary damage profile and your job fantasy are more magical than they are anything else. And that's it, to be honest. Like, I don't think the entire role needs a purpose. And I think that thinking is why Fizz ranged players have been just like waiting for buffs or waiting for the role to like get something that makes them stand out more, for machinists to get something. That's why Fizz range is kind of stuck, is the dev team treats Fizz range and magical range and all that like they have specific places in content. But the community doesn't really reflect what the dev team is intending. It feels like most of the time. We just have to play within the realm of what those jobs, like if Fizz range got like a big change and we ended up back with double Fizz range as a possibility, cool, great. Like, you know, people are already okay between going double melee or double magical range. Why can't double Fizz range also be a thing? And obviously I don't want double Fizz range to be the norm necessarily, but I'm saying like your group shouldn't feel bad for taking 2 of a DPS that fit into a profile. They don't feel that way for melee. They don't feel that way for caster. But if you're double Fizz range, you're at a very clear disadvantage. And that to me is, I think we're past that era now. So yeah, I only think the whole role of caster / magical ranged is job fantasy and nothing else. And I think that's probably for the better, if I'm going to be honest. Hashtag Monday with Mr. Happy. Hey, yo, haps, and a handful extra just in case any are missed. Just curious on the topic of Black Mage and jobs becoming easier. I understand that removing mastery for players is removing content for everyone. Fun stuff for experienced players to do. And Road's journey of new stuff to learn for new players. This being said, how much of 14 is job issues are inherent issues with how 14 onboards new players to said jobs in the first place? I don't. So, okay. I am a firm believer that people will not improve if they don't want to. And how you onboard them is an almost completely irrelevant factor in whether or not they were interested in playing well in the first place. If the onboarding process gets you most of the way there, you're more likely to play the role as it's intended. But if the onboarding process is too much of an uphill battle, people are sooner to give up or try something else than they are to continue the onboarding process. And I'll tell you what, the latter is probably way more common than the former, where people would sooner give up and try something else if they feel the onboarding process was asking too much of them than if the onboarding process was less strict and then they had room to grow, because they just want to be able to get in and go. And a lot of people aren't super interested in high-end content and gauging their performance and stuff like that. So when people blame the onboarding process of new players, I've seen plenty of people who are brand new to this game become masters in the jobs that they choose to pick up. And I've seen people who play for 10 years who put no effort into ever improving. And so was it because of how they were onboarded? No, it's because they themselves didn't want to improve and the other people did. I've seen people who come in from WoW, boost a character up, level at 10 levels, and play better than people I've seen play for half a decade. Like, just because they fundamentally have that desire to actually play the game well. Now, that being said, that's why there's a lot of criticism about job homogenization and taking away of the skill ceiling, because you're trying to appease, or at least that's how it's interpreted. I'll say my following statement is how some people interpret it. It's interpreted as you're trying to appeal to the bottom line, and it doesn't work because a lot of those players themselves don't want to improve. So by bringing the bar down, all you're doing is hurting the people who are at the top and who really enjoy something by taking that away from them, while not even necessarily appealing to more people. Now, it doesn't always work that way. There's a middle ground there where there are people who that actually bridges the gap in such a way that suddenly they have this massive interest. And we've seen that with Black Mage, I feel like, right now. The question is, does one outweigh the other? And that's tough. Monk used to be one of the least played jobs in the game, right down there with Black Mage. In fact, it was less played than Black Mage. And after they reworked it, the play rate went way, way up. And a lot of people complained at first. They said that the 5.4 rework was an ultra simplification. We need to go back to Stormblood Monk, all the usual stuff. And then 6.0 rolled around, and the interest went way up. A lot of people really enjoyed the blitz system that they introduced, and in 7.0, that's kind of continued. Monk's play rate has definitely gone way, way up from before, even if it's still probably not one of the most played. I don't have the data on hand, but it's probably still not one of the most played. But it's certainly far more common than it used to be. So it's a really nuanced situation. It would be arrogant of me to pretend like there is one answer to this entire thing. And this is a far more data-driven thing that I don't have the information on hand to really judge. I just don't know how to give a really good educated answer without a lot of information in front of me that would allow me to come up with an actual, I guess an actual answer, I suppose. So unfortunately, I can't provide any more insight without that. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hey, Haps. How you happen? How's Ivy? Ivy's probably fine. I got to pick Ivy up on Tuesday. Is it possible for you to return your... Wait. Is it impossible for you to... Wait. Oh, I get it. It's a joke. Is it impossible for you to return your Raycon since when you call them and they ask if you're happy, the answer is always yes. That's true of anything, though. Why would you specifically go with Raycons? Why did you pick that? You could have... Anything would have worked. So why the Raycons? Somebody was exposed to a lot of Raycon ads as of late. Hashtag opposite days without Miss Sad. Goodbye. I get the joke. I get it. Really enjoyed your Magic the Gathering. Well, now I think you hated it because it's opposite day. Do you think with Final Fantasy set coming up, you'll be doing more? Yeah, that was the idea. Obviously, I've been a little preoccupied with everything. But yeah, no, I did my first part with Magic the Gathering. I would like to do a second part. I haven't forgotten any of that stuff, and I can always rewatch my own thing to get it back. So yeah, no, I do intend to do more Magic the Gathering stuff ahead. Hashtag happy with Mr. Monday. What's up, Mr. Haps? Hello. It's actually a weird one, but for context, I was doing an endless run in Theater Rhythm, Final Bar Line. There's one song I really like from 6 that popped out called Protect the Espers. While I'm playing it, there's this constant bug at the back of my mind that I've heard this song outside the game, despite having never played 6. The only reasonable explanation was remixed into a 14 combat song. Can't for the life of me remember. Protect the Espers. Unfortunately, I don't remember Protect the Espers, which one that is off the top of my head. I'm really bad at the original names. I always just call them like the theme of this. So when it's like when they have actual names, it's really tough. And I know the slower, more serene version is played in the party edit menu. It's definitely not that. Noah, remember, Protect the Espers was remixed in 14. So generally, the Final Fantasy VI themes that have been remixed are the ones that are in Omega and the Warring Triad themes. And I don't remember what those were called, but I'm almost certain that the Warring Triad Phase 1 themes, none of them are Protect the Espers. And I don't think that any of the... I think I do know which one Protect the Espers is. I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, without being 100% certain, I can't answer the question. I wish I could, but unfortunately, I don't know the song by name. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Howdy, Haps. Hi. Do you think it makes sense when people put those high min item level requirements on Unreal? No, it's stupid. I will say, so there is a logic, but I still think it's stupid. The logic, they only want people actually play the game. That was what I was going to say. Yeah. Effectively, they're trying to get people who actually have, at least you can ensure that they've participated in playing the game in recent times. But it's stupid because sometimes we just, like, for example, healer, I don't really play healer, but I'm very willing to go healer into Unreal. So I'll just keep like a really basic beginning of the expansion set that meets the item level requirement, and I can just do that. Now, I make my own Unreals, so it's not a problem. But I imagine there's plenty of people out there who know that they can play whatever role in Unreal and they don't need gear for it. So it's a tough middle ground. Like, if you really want people that, and I quote, actually play the game, then after a few weeks, just turn on Duty Complete. Because if they've beaten it, that's what matters most. It at least gives you a baseline expectation that they can perform it. Now, if you haven't beaten it, or you think it's too early in the cycle to do it, then you just kind of suck it up until you get past that point. You know, the high item level, more often than not, just kind of makes people laugh at you. And even the people who are experienced and could do it, they'll just be like, I'm not going to go do it with that guy. So, yeah, no, it's the logic is sound. It just doesn't, I don't think in effect, it actually works the way they want it to. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Here's the first lack of hello. So, yep, there we go. We find ourselves once again in a very familiar place with the expansion cycle. Expansion releases, new raid tiers, less difficult than people are used to. Discourse issues about how the game is too easy. Devs don't want the game to be hard anymore. Rating is over. Time to move on. Find a new game. Devs hate challenging content. Second tier comes out. Complete reality check comes in. And things continue as normal. Final tier comes out at expected difficulty. Expansion and cycle repeats. Do you think people will ever accept that this is how the cycle is? Keep in mind that there's a big problem with the number of voices that come into play here. So first of all, more and more people have played the game expansion release to expansion release as time has gone on. And a lot of the times they are holdovers from people who started in the middle of the previous expansion. So like you'll have people who start in like 6.2 or 6.3, and then they'll get used to those raid tiers. And then 7.0 comes around and it's a big dip. There's also the people who don't raid at all and just watch people do the fights and then talk like they actually do the fights. And I actually think that's a way louder voice than it should be, and a way louder voice than people think it is. There's a lot of people who don't do raids who for some reason act like experts on raids. And then you also just have people who are just kind of judging it as is. Like, most people who have a lot of experience will say it's easy and then say it's easy relative to, like, for example, with Wicked Thunder, people would be like, you know, it was a cool fight, but, you know, the DPS check was a joke. And then that trickles down to other people because fundamentally, you know, we're used to not having that much leniency. Same thing kind of happened with Fru if you had a Pictomancer in a sense, where it was like, man, I can't believe, like, some people like really like that fight, just can't believe how quickly it fell over, you know? And then that trickles down and then other people will form derivatives of it. But it's not a matter of whether or not people will learn. It's about whether or not you care about that voice at all. Because there's always somebody who's going to have that voice, because they are not going to, not everyone has the same experience or the same kind of grasp on the cycle to begin with. And there's always new people coming in, new people experiencing something for the first time. And then there's always going to be people who you probably don't rate who are saying things. So I think it's less important about people learning that it is that way, and more important to recognize that not everyone keeps every bit of knowledge encyclopedically across the game's history together, and that it's probably not worth worrying when people say that. I think it's more important to focus on things that we talk about, like patch cadence, reward structure, and when people criticize that, even if those are within the realm of normal, and to provide feedback on that, more so to break the normal. And who knows, maybe that's the case with what you're hearing here. Maybe people want that to be broken, but the start of the expansion being the easier one, I think, will always be the case. And the second one is the one people will always be afraid of because of the difficulty jump. So I don't think there's really anything to do there. I mean, you just kind of have to accept that life is the way it is sometimes, and that people are the way that they are, and that that's not worth putting that much time into. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Greeting and salutations. I know you dislike isekai questions, so instead, if you could have one materia from Final Fantasy VII in real life, which would you choose? I will say this is better. This is actually a better version of the question. So, because if you put me in Final Fantasy VII's world, that's terrible. I'm gonna die. You're all dead. Like, if you're not the hero, you're not suddenly just gonna be like, oh man, I'm the coolest. Who needs Cloud? I'm gonna be the best soldier because no, you're gonna die. You're still you. All right, you're not suddenly better you. You're gonna die a horrible death. But if I could have one materia, I'm gonna go. So this is gonna be weird. I'm gonna go with float because it's the closest. There's no fly materia, but float. Oh, that's gonna be so useful. I could think of tons of places where I could use that with any form of practicality. So yeah, no, I'm gonna go with float on that one. And then we have another hashtag, Mondays with Mr. Happy here. Given how Dawn Trail is basically, this one did say, hey, long time-ish, no comment. So keep up with Prague. Dawn Trail is basically Stormblood 2.0 with the story reception getting better with patches, very good combat. I think the exploration zone will also be a new experiment that people kind of hate at first. No, I think that at this point, I think Eureka was the experiment and everything else is lessons learned. There's a lot to look forward to with this next one, but you are going to hear people who hate exploration zones come up again. So just be ready for that. Will you try another machine gun monk build? We need to see what the Phantom Jobs do before I say I'm doing anything. So I can't make any commitment to that. And then the last question here in the comment section, hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, hello. I hope you're well. You too. Only one lack of hello today. We had plenty of spares, so it's fine. I'm sorry if I already missed it, but do you have any interest in doing more? Okay. So another Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I do. Like I said, it's just been with everything I've been dealing with. It wasn't a priority. So yes, I would like to do some learning. And I don't really want sponsors necessarily for like my average Magic the Gathering content. I want to know what I'm looking at. I want to be able to look at a card and fully, or not even fully, but have a better grasp of what I'm getting and how a player appreciates it or hates it. Because, like, yes, it's great to get excited about the really cool artwork, but I don't want to then read the card and be like, wow, that sounds kind of cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I would rather be able to, like, look at it and be like, oh, I could see this working in this kind of deck. I mean, I used to play Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! I just never played, Magic the Gathering. So I have some old card sensibilities, and I do actually enjoy some of the TCG, the extended universe of TCG players on YouTube. You may have seen me comment on, like, a SEMO video. Watch, Raren, CGB. I've like watched a lot of them because they all collaborate. So having started with being exposed to SEMO's videos and then seeing everybody else as they've kind of branched out and collaborated, I don't watch it as much as I did maybe like a year ago or so. But that's either way. It's like I enjoy getting to understand the games that I don't play from that perspective. And I will say this, going all the way back to why I even do Final Fantasy XIV and guide videos. It's because I used to straight up, when I didn't play WoW, I would watch tank spot videos because I wanted to learn about things I didn't already know. And that consequentially eventually got me to play WoW. And then when I was doing content for 14, I thought about all the tank spot videos I watched, and that was a big inspiration there. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen with card games, but I'm saying that like that path to me has given me a good like experience in life. I mean, quite frankly, the tank spot videos are one of the reasons I do what I do now. So it's just I don't know. I just like to make that correlation because it goes to show that just taking the time to learn about something new can it can take you to a lot of places that you didn't think you'd go. So I value that. But that is the entirety of the Q&A. The rest are comments with no hashtags. A lot of, take care of yourselves and bits and pieces about everything that's been happening. And I appreciate all of those. So thank you to everyone for your kind words. For those of you who gave, for those of you who asked questions, don't forget you can ask questions for next week in the comment section of the video below. And hopefully I'll have more info soon. And remember, if you don't know why I'm traveling and you don't know why there's a different cat behind me and why Ivy's waiting for me back in San Francisco, follow me on my socials. And again, maybe I should probably start to include Discord stuff in the description of the videos. But if you come to my Discord and you act like an asshat, you won't be there for very long. Because especially on Discord, I just don't wait. I'm like, listen, I ain't got the time to deal with this. You out, all right? Some people get some warnings, and then we're just like, nah, you out. Like you got a few warnings. You better just make the peace. If you don't make the peace, that's it. You donezo. But anyway, I will see all of you in the next episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Thank you to everyone for participating and putting up with an hour of rambling. And I'll see you next time. Until then, bye-bye. Let me click out because this is still a one take. So, I just realized is the start of this also. Yeah, okay, that'll be interesting. All right, enjoy.